everyone. I'm Denise Ringler, Director of Arts Engagement and Cultural Resources here at Appalachian State University. Welcome to this very special 10th anniversary celebration of the Rosen Schaffel competition for young and emerging artists. I'd like to extend a special greeting to our audiences joining us from areas beyond the High Country. Many of you who have followed the growth and development of this competition know that it's a source of great pride for an Appalachian Summer Festival. The competition is based on the belief that if the fine arts are to survive and thrive in today's world, we must actively cultivate and promote the artists of tomorrow, including young artists who have dedicated their careers to classical music. This mission was critically important to festival founders Arnold and Muriel Rosen, and the Rosen Schaffel competition perfectly embodies that mission, not only by awarding cash prizes to the competition winners, but by opening doors that lead to performance opportunities, connections, and exposure that is truly career-changing for many of them. To be eligible for the competition, contestants must be currently enrolled in an accredited North Carolina college or university and have recently graduated within the last 2 years. Contestants must also have achieved at least the level of rising sophomore and be under the age of 30. We'd like to thank the generous donors who have supported this program for the past decade. Nancy and Neil Schaffel have provided a generous gift each season for the competition, which is named in memory of Nancy's parents, Muriel and Arnold Rosen. Additional support for the competition has been generously provided by the Bruce J. Heim Foundation and by our good friend Nancy Taffine. In the spring of 2020, we mourned the loss of Nancy's husband, Mark, who was passionate about building the careers of young artists. Nancy's generosity to the competition continues, and she proudly carries forward Mark's legacy as we look to the next decade of the Rosen Schaffel competition. We are honored to dedicate this anniversary celebration to Mark's memory. Along with our valued donors, I'd like to thank the staff of an Appalachian Summer Festival who work diligently to administer the competition every season, with special thanks to Laura Kaufman from the festival staff, who plays a lead role in administering the program. The competition is also successful because of the collaboration and commitment of our own Hayes School of Music and its dean, Dr. James Douthit, whose partnership has been crucial to the longevity and growth of the competition. Dean Douthit will serve as our MC for this special anniversary celebration. And finally, to make a competition such as this one really work, it's essential to involve committed jurors who are willing to share their time and talents. We're extraordinarily fortunate to feature distinguished symphony conductors as jurors each season. Chief among them has been Gerard Schwartz, who has served as a valued advisor in establishing the program and who has participated in the competition since its inception. Maestro Schwartz is conductor laureate of the Seattle Symphony. He serves as music director of the Eastern Music Festival here in North Carolina, as well as the Palm Beach Symphony and the celebrated All-Star Orchestra, comprised of world-class musicians from across the nation. Jerry has prepared a message of greeting, which we are delighted to share with you now. Thank you again for joining us.
Hello, I'm Gerard Schwartz, Artistic Advisor to the Rosen Schaffel competition. It's been a great honor for me to be involved in this extraordinary competition, fostering the careers of so many young and remarkable musicians here in North Carolina. These 10 years have been thrilling, and the results have been extraordinary. Of course, what I'm looking forward to is the next 10 years or 20 years. Unfortunately, this year we're not going to be live in 2021, but next year in 2022, we're all going to come together yet again at Appalachian State and celebrate this remarkable competition with the remarkable young musicians that they help and foster throughout North Carolina. I look forward to seeing you all again, live, in the summer of 2022. And again, congratulations for the 10th anniversary of the Rosen Schaffel competition.
Thank you for that message, Maestro Schwartz. And thank you for your participation in the Rosen Schaffel competition for the last 10 years. It's been a pleasure to work with you and have you present some of our winners to the Appalachian Summer Festival audience. I'm James Douthit, the Dean of the Hayes School of Music, and I'm delighted to welcome you to this retrospective look at the Rosen Schaffel competition. We're going to have an overview during this 10th anniversary celebration. We'll include performances by previous competition winners Morgan Short, harpist, and Andrew Rene, baritone, with highlights from special interviews conducted with past finalists, winners, as well as Neil and Nancy Schaffel. The Hayes School of Music has been delighted to work with the Appalachian Summer Festival with Denise Ringler and her team to present this every year to allow students from North Carolina the opportunity to compete for a valuable prize, but also the opportunity to play with the Eastern Festival Music Orchestra. And we've been delighted to host this on an annual basis. We look forward to returning to our live competition soon. The value of a competition for a musician is immeasurable, and I think you'll see that in the interviews that I've done. All of our interviewees talked about the importance of the competition in shaping their life. But what you missed, I think, were the people that didn't win a prize also had a valuable experience in that as well. Preparing for the competition, performing for a panel of distinguished judges, and the opportunity to perform and present at the Appalachian Summer Festival through this competition has been an impetus for development for many young artists, not just the winners. It's great to remember that this is an opportunity for all that participate and a wonderful opportunity for the audience to hear the talent in North Carolina. Speaking of talent, our first featured performance, I'd like to introduce harpist and first place winner from the 2018 competition, Morgan Short. She'll be performing for us works by Handel, Bocsa, Rossini from her home studio. Morgan, we look forward to hearing your performance, and thank you for joining us today. As we began preparing for this day, we thought, what a great opportunity to go back and review with some of our past winners. We have some first place winners, some second place winners, some audience choice winners. We have a variety of winners for you from each year, and look forward to sharing some of their thoughts with you. I had the pleasure of interviewing these contestants from each competition year. Let's take a look and see what they have to say about the competition, its impact on their career as a musician, and what they think about for the future and the importance of patrons in the arts.
Some great advice that was given to me that's resonated from me or with me for many years is I'm pretty sure Dr. Robert Falvo had said that if you're nervous, you're likely unprepared. But if you're anxious, that's a little different feeling, and that can breed excitement and things like that. So I remember definitely, I remember shredding these works for weeks, if not months, day in and day out, and I remember the excitement of performing. And I know a lot of the performers, and I'm not the only one that has probably experienced this, but when you're at that level and you come to a competition or you come to a performance prepared, there's an inescapable feeling of being in the moment and having the music flow through you as an extension of you, not necessarily forcing anything. But I do remember being in the moment, being very, very present, and the world could be crumbling around me and I wouldn't know because I'm just so embedded in the music at the moment.
I mean, the music world generally is a very welcoming and warm community, but the more you get specialized into something, the more you begin to see the beating heart of music is really, really strong, really generous, and there's a lot of really good people that are there. Everyone from professionals to amateurs, and, young people to old people, everything in between.
A competition gives you an opportunity to continue to grow and keep pushing yourself as a musician. It also gives you the opportunity to hear peers, to hear your colleagues, and be inspired by their artistry and their talent as you continue to grow yourself. It also is a really good networking opportunity, meeting teachers and just meeting other musicians who are doing the same thing you are.
Well, I would say that, I have been doing a number of competitions leading up to the Rosen Schaffel one, but being able to perform at that level, winning the competition, being able to subsequently perform with Gerard Schwartz and the Eastern Youth Festival Orchestra, that was such a tremendously exciting thing. And it felt like a really big marking point in my career of a certain high level of, what's the word I'm looking for? Pursuing something to a really high level like that, and being able to tackle a really big project, performing that kind of concerto for large audiences. It was very exciting.
Because it's not about me, it's about the music that I'm performing, and that just completely has shaped everything I did after that. And when I went into the Rosen Schaffel competition and performed, I felt like I portrayed the stories really well. The Songs and Dances of Death by Mussorgsky are rather story-oriented anyway, as it tends to be with nationalistic Russian composers. But I felt like I captured the characters in each of the four contrasting pieces, and I sang to the best of my abilities. I was thrilled to be a third place winner for that year. Definitely exceeded all my expectations, but ultimately I left knowing I did the best that I could to the service of the music.
This competition in my personal career has helped me a lot. It was my first concerto performance, and it was just an amazing opportunity to meet so many people and work with so many people that I've always heard of and dreamed of working with, and to actually work with them and be surrounded by their knowledge and expertise and professionalism was amazing, and I take that with me wherever I go. The knowledge that I gained from this competition, but it wouldn't have been the same without this competition.
I mean, I really think and that's something Yale has taught me, and this competition, that it's all about artistry and kind of presenting your own voice. So I think, even though it's much easier said than done, but kind of just go in, being yourself, trusting that you have something to say, and don't worry about, all the little things that we practice every day. Just perform, have fun, try to present yourself to the audience. Don't worry about things. It's just a great experience in general if you can enjoy it.
For me, competing is not personal anymore. It's about furthering the nature of this instrument. Can it compete against some of the greatest violin piano concertos, and with its repertoire? And thus far, I've made it. I've been incredibly excited to beat Sibelius violin concerto, Tchaikovsky, and Rachmaninoff piano concertos. That to me has become more even a goal than actually attaining a prize.
Having people who appreciate the arts, none of it would be possible without them. So,
right. And I think that they also have to share our vision, I think, as artists, right? They have to have a sense of where we want to go. And once they've kind of shared that vision with us, they become very engaged in the art process of making art and music, just in a different way, right?
Yes, yeah. Certainly, yes.
Those were some highlights from our footage. If you'd like to view the entire interview with these contestants, please visit the Rosen Schaffel competition website. And now, we're proud to feature a performance by the competition's most recent winner, baritone vocalist Andrew Rene, currently studying at the University of Iowa. He'll be performing selections from Gustav Mahler's song cycle Lieder eines fahrenden Gesellen from the University of Iowa School of Music Recital Hall. Thank you, Andrew, for that performance. We'd like to recognize the past, present, and future of the competition that is made possible through the support of our donors and patrons.
I got to meet Mrs. Schaffel after the competition, and she is just a lovely person and so kind and clearly so genuine in her desire to really support young musicians. And I feel like it's an amazing work they're doing, giving people that need a little bit of a leg up into perhaps finding their opening into the big wide world of what's possible with music. And they did that for me, and I'm very grateful, and I think that they're just doing a wonderful thing.
I understand now. I understand a lot of the desire to be philanthropic and to donate for a larger cause and things like that. So it's been an incredible experience for me, not only to compete to showcase my skills and to gain experience performing, because obviously that had an impact on me continuing to perform today.
And I just think it's so great how they're so kind and they're so supportive, and I love how we're still in touch after all these years. And I'm so thankful that they're having this competition, and it's really nice to know that people are so supportive of the arts.
The arts wouldn't be anywhere without supporters like the Schaffels. It means so much to us as musicians that we have people like the Schaffels that are supporting the arts and supporting our careers and supporting our love of music and letting us share that music and share that love and that passion with other people.
And I think that there's something really special about investing in the next generation and giving young people an opportunity to prove themselves and to compete at a really high level.
For me, if I strongly feel I really needed the support from this competition to be able to pay for my tuition the next semester. And to me, I remember crying after winning the first prize and the audience prize. It was a really, really touching moment to me, and to be able to reach out to them, knowing that I think different than any other competition I've been in thus far, writing. Of course, I've written grants before, and I've thanked donors before, but to be able to, write those letters, thank them for their support of the arts, and then for them to come and see me as a soloist and be able to shake their hand and personally kiss them and thank them for their support of young people in the arts.
We're coming to you from the stage of the beautiful Rosen Concert Hall here in the Broyhill Music Center on the campus of Appalachian State University, which is home to the performances we enjoy every summer as part of the Rosen Schaffel competition. It's a very special place, and joining me are three very special people, including Dr. James Douthit, Dean of the Hayes School of Music, and our dear friends Nancy and Neil Schaffel, whose generosity and support has sustained the Rosen Schaffel competition for the past 10 years. Nancy, your parents, Arnold and Muriel Rosen, have played a critical role in the cultural life of our campus and community. This hall is named in their honor, and in the early 1980s, it was Arnold and Muriel who came to administrators at Appalachian State University to begin talking about a cultural arts series comprised of music, dance, theater, and visual arts in the summertime that would bring residents and visitors together for a multi-arts festival every July. The university embraced that concept, and out of that remarkable idea, an Appalachian Summer Festival was born. Speaking of remarkable ideas, Nancy, tell us about the concept for the Young Artist Competition and how that idea first became apparent to you.
Well, several people know how this came about, but for those of you who don't, I do my best thinking in the shower. And let's rewind about 12 years ago. I'm in the shower, and I suddenly was thinking about how popular American Idol was. And suddenly I thought to myself, wow, we have a really good music school here at App State. Maybe we should start highlighting some of those students in some performances. And then I thought, wait, we could actually have a competition. And then I thought, yes, and we could have the audience voting. And so I mentioned to my mother at that time, and I don't think it took her 5 minutes that she was on the phone calling the then Dean Pelto, who had just come on the job, by the way, he didn't even know who my mother was, I don't think, and put this out. And the next thing you know, within days, we had a meeting with you, Denise, Dean Pelto, my mother, and myself. And, you know, I was thinking just on a small scale, but Dean Pelto was, I think, going like, oh no, this isn't just going to be for our students. We need to highlight musicians across the state of North Carolina. And that's how it all started. It took about a year to try and get things in place, and you know, it's been a growing process. We keep massaging it every year, trying to make it better.
Well, I do remember that lunch meeting, Nancy, and you and your mother, what was wonderful about it is that it seemed an idea that seemed a bit foreign at first to the idea of us bringing American Idol to an Appalachian Summer Festival. But the fact is, the nugget of that idea was so great. And you and Muriel were very flexible about allowing us to work with that model and kind of adapt it in a way that made sense for the School of Music and for an Appalachian Summer Festival. So it's to your credit that you were very much partners with us in making it all happen.
You know how we feel, you know, you come up with an idea and then you let the experts kind of figure out how to get it done.
Well, in this case, your involvement was absolutely key to the whole process, so thank you. You have both, Neil and Nancy, you have both followed the progress of the competition for 10 years now, and we just heard a segment where we heard the contestants talking about the huge impact this competition has had on their lives and their careers. What has been most meaningful to both of you as you've observed the competition's impact over the years?
You want me to answer first?
Sure.
Well, when this started out, as you said, Deans Pelto and Douthit thereafter, and you, have developed the festival a little bit differently than I originally envisioned it. But what I learned was my perception of value of the competition was always wrong. And for example, I thought we started this with a cash prize. The competition offered a cash prize to the winner. And I thought, boy, that's going to be important. What I found out was the cash prize is not important. It's really the experience and the opportunity to perform, number one, in front of a live audience, and number two, if I win, to come back with the Eastern Festival Orchestra with Maestro Gerard Schwartz and perform a concerto. And on top of that, they get a bio entry. So what I realized was the purpose of the festival was not for the audience. It was really for the artists and giving them the opportunity. I also had a thought that how do you have different instruments competing against each other? Maestro Schwartz and I had a conversation, and he said, music is music and performance is performance. What's the difference? So that answered that question, and I think that's what makes us different, is we have voice against percussion. As I said before, performing, most of the competitions I understand are the performers are behind a curtain and the judges are out there and they don't see them. I've been told by a lot of the performers that live audience makes a big difference. And seeing the judges, they can communicate with the judges. That's my experiences. I have two in particular over the 10 years. One of them is Amber Carpenter, who was the harpist that maybe they saw the video. And Amber, we missed that competition. Right. That was the only year in 35 we were not up here. But we did come back the next year when she performed with the Eastern Festival Orchestra. And she played a piece of music, and something happened that I'd never seen before or since. The orchestra members started stamping on the stage, and the string players were bows on the stands. And I had no idea what they were talking about. She came back and did an encore. And she did a solo encore that just blew the audience away. She got, I don't know how long it was, but she got a like 5-minute standing ovation. Then we went backstage. We were meeting her and her family. And we kept getting interrupted with orchestra members coming back and congratulating her. Never seen that before either. And in talking with her, she told me what her most exciting experience was with the competition. And that was actually playing and meeting orchestra members she had been following for years. And she said, what I realized is I've got friends now. A lot of them will be friends for life. That was the most important thing. Well, that's something you never would think about. The second experience was probably the most memorable. It was a number of years ago. The intermission between the competition and judging announcements. I had my cookie and my drink, and this gentleman walked up to me and hugged me with tears in his eyes and said, thank you. For what? Right? And he told me that the year before, his son, who was I think he was a junior at the time, was losing interest in music. He couldn't get him to practice. And one day he came home and said, I just found out about this competition. And I've decided next year I'm going to win it. And he said he's been practicing every single day since then, and I just got to watch his performance. And I can't tell you what that means. What it meant to me was, these are things you don't see, you don't anticipate of effects on people's lives. So that is a driving factor. That one event is a driving factor for me.
Well, we can understand why those moments were truly memorable for you. What about you, Nancy, as you think about how this event has evolved from the American Idol vision to where we see today? Any moments that stick out in your memory?
Well, I think that when I looked at some of the interviews, it brought to the forefront what a monumental moment could be for these performers up on the stage. It could be that pivotal moment that actually encourages them to continue along the path as a professional musician. It's a very tough life, as we all know, but if you have the passion and the love, and you get some reinforcement for it, that encourages you, and heaven knows we need these people. We need music in our lives. So I'm just thrilled, really, to know that the competition has had an impact on these kids' lives.
Well, it certainly has. So Neil and Nancy, in addition to supporting this competition, you've both played a critical role in supporting classical music performance at the festival in general and at the university and across our region. In 2014, you established a $1 million endowment fund to support classical music programming at the festival. And over the past year, you've established another generous endowment of $1 million to ensure that the festival's longevity will continue well into the future. You designed that gift as a challenge by urging other donors to make gifts that you would then match. Tell us more about what prompts you to make gifts of this significance to programs such as an Appalachian Summer Festival.
Well, I always go back to the first thing that always gets cut in the schools is the arts program. And I also remember that my parents instilled in me the difference between the human beings as a species and other animals is our creativity and our ability to emotionally move one another. And there have been so many studies about how important music is to the development of children and how healing it can be for us as adults. Neil and I have music playing in our house almost all the time. different genres, not necessarily classical, often it is, but it's a healing thing. I just can't even imagine a world without the music. And so I feel like if we can promote this, then we should. And it's also really an obligation to keep the memory of my parents alive and what was important to them. I mean, they were humongous opera supporters. Neil and I took us a little bit longer to get into that. But I so appreciate the art form and the talent and everything. And so we try and, locally, we have supported opera groups in their memory. And keeping the festival alive is most important to us.
Thank you.
Well, the festival's really alive this year because we've had a couple of years to prepare for this anniversary. And as you've seen, we have the interviews with all the contestants, and you've already spoken to the importance that this competition has played in their musical development. When you spoke about it, I thought your metaphor was much like a moment in time, and I thought more of the metaphor of a well, because I think 10 years later, the artists are still going back to this well and pulling out inspiration from this moment. It was clear when I talked to them, even the people from 10 years ago were still using this as an inspiration for their continued work. I think it's really great that it's from students from North Carolina who've studied in North Carolina. North Carolina is a large state geographically and diverse state in terms of music and a great place to study music. And we have many schools here that do great work. So I think it's important that we've featured artists from North Carolina in this work too, because artists with an intersection to the state of North Carolina show the importance of this state in the growth of the arts across the country. Did you remember most of the contestants? Did you remember I asked them about their moments winning. Did they remember the moment when they won? A couple of people I asked that. You've mentioned the harp player, and it's interesting we've had 2 harp winners.
Right.
But did any moments from the 10 years come into mind when you saw the artists?
I was very moved by Morgan's. And her whole take on the whole competition it really warmed my heart, that it was so meaningful to her. And then to hear her play again, that was kind of a special treat.
That was a fun part of the interview because we didn't ask the contestants to prepare the winners. They're not contestants anymore. We didn't ask the winners to prepare anything to play for. She said, "Would you like to hear something before I go?" And I thought that just shows her true interest in.
But to answer your question, yes, I remembered all of them. Not necessarily what year it was, but yes, I did remember all of them. And some of them, even some of the ones, of course, that didn't win, you still remember those people. Maybe they were the Audience Choice Award, or maybe they came in second, but they still left an impression.
Well, and that's a really good point, because I think winning is certainly a benefit, but it's a benefit to everybody that comes to play in the competition, to play or sing in the competition, because they have a goal, something to prepare for, something to think about. It's a motivational force for them to either continue a piece of repertoire or study a new piece of repertoire. And like you said, the opportunities to play aren't that frequent. So they can come and play this for an audience, not just a panel of judges, and it's like another performance. So even if they don't come home with a prize, they've come home with the prize of getting to share their music, and I think that's one of the most important.
There was one other thing that impressed me in the interviews was the comment about how wonderful it was to have conductors as judges, because they look at things a little bit differently than, let's say, if you were having a violin competition and you have violinists judging. They're looking for one thing. But the conductors are looking in terms of, can this person come across with an orchestra? Are they ready for that? Are they ready to make that big leap? And I think that's kind of special about this competition too, is that we do have conductors that are the judges.
Yeah, they are. Neil, when you talked about that magical moment when the musicians came off stage and were so supportive of Amber, it reminds me too that some of some of the benefits of doing a competition like this, that you go into it sometimes not knowing what those benefits and surprising moments are going to be. And one of those did have to do with the conductors, Nancy, because what we started hearing after the first few competitions, we started hearing that the winners were being offered opportunities by the jurors, who are, of course, distinguished conductors. Gerard Schwartz, Bob Moody, Roger Collia, Giacomo Byros, all have their own orchestras, and they were going to our winners and booking them for performances with their orchestras. We never asked them to do that, nor did we offer it as a benefit of winning the competition, but it happened because the jurors were so impressed by these winners. So you're right. I mean, that is a huge piece of the character of this competition, for sure.
So Denise, you've mentioned the support of the Schaffels for the Appalachian Summer Festival, and you also mentioned their support for many projects at the university and in the arts in general, but I'd like to talk just a little bit about one of the projects that we did at the Hayes School of Music, because I think it's one thing when our patrons get to experience the excitement of a live performance, but we're talking about a few wood panels and a baffle that's hanging above us. And so when we came together, actually the former Dean Pelto came together with the Schaffels and said, you know, there's some renovations that we could probably think about in the Arnold and Muriel G. Rosen Concert Hall that would give us an opportunity to have a better experience. And so you immediately thought, yes, let's do that. I think you were prompted by the Summer Festival.
That came about as well with Gil Morgenstern and the Broyhill Chamber Ensemble, when Gil finally said, you know, the problem on that stage is we can't hear each other. What are you talking about? Because of the sound on that stage, I can't hear the violist. So my statement was, how much could it cost to put some baffles up?
And I think we figured that out for you, didn't we?
Yeah, that's where it started.
But we have this lovely wall paneling behind us, you know, and it's very clever the way it's designed, because you flip the panels over and you get a fabric side, so you can have a softer sound on the stage, or you can have a more resonant sound when you flip it over to the wooden side. And then a rope of lighting there, and then maybe you can't see it in our photo here, but in addition to the clouds above the stage, we put in 2 long clouds. And part of our work in doing that was the figuring out how to even install those. But that's made such a difference in the sound, and I think you're right. I think it was done primarily with the idea that the artists would have a more vibrant experience on the stage, but of course that more vibrant experience on the stage translates into a better performance for our audience as well. But I think our audience can actually hear this. We've had now a couple of years to live with this, and the first faculty that came on the stage said this was remarkable. Every instrument, it fits every instrument in our school of music. So I think that's delightful, but it must be somewhat different to think about funding some walls and some hanging things as opposed to people.
And I think thanks goes out to Denny Yates and his architectural firm that designed this specifically. He was the architect who built the School of Music,
right,
and built this facility.
Yeah, when the Broyhill Music Center was built in 1983, Denny designed this and still takes great pride in every square inch of the building. And he took great pride in being able to bring this acoustic update to our hall as well, and great pride in making sure everything was hung correctly so it didn't come down. I want to go out in the lobby and look at a few things in the lobby before we leave. Well, as we bring our celebration of the 10th anniversary of the Rosen Schaffel competition to a close, I'd like to close by doing a little gift for the Schaffels. The concert hall that we were in, the Arnold and Muriel G. Rosen Concert Hall, next to it sits a recital hall, and it didn't have a name on it. So I went to the Board of Trustees and I said, the Schaffels and their families, the Rosens, have given so much to the university in so many ways, to the Appalachian Summer Festival and the Hayes School of Music. We'd like to dedicate and name this recital hall the Nancy and Neil Schaffel Recital Hall. And you know, this is just a small token of our appreciation, but the biggest thing that this signifies is this hall is the home to future young artists setting their aspiring dreams on a stage, sometimes for the first time. They audition in here the very first time. They may do their senior recitals in here. They'll have chamber music. They'll have all sorts of activities. And this room provides that educational experience. So every time people come to their recitals or begin to do their work, this will be on the wall, and we'll look forward to having them remember our patrons and sponsors that have helped them get the education that we provide for them. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us to celebrate 10 years of inspiring classical music and classical music performances, and the patrons that make that all possible. We're excited to return in 2022 with live competition, and we look forward to being with you together again in the Muriel and Arnold G. Rosen Concert Hall. Goodbye from the Hayes School of Music at Appalachian State University.